Infertility is a very troubling situation when a woman wants to have a baby or a couple wants to have a baby and they can't. It's sad, it's hard. They often will try to take advantage of technology to have a baby through in vitro fertilization, IVF. It's a very expensive process and it's very trying on the woman because you need to take a lot of hormone treatments, which can have physical effects, but you do it because you want to have a baby. And you spend a lot of money. People go into debt because often insurance doesn't cover it. Just in December of 2023, CooperSurgical recalled its solution, this culture media that is used for the growth to keep alive the embryo from the IVF procedure. What happened leading up to this recall was various IVF clinics around the country were noticing that the embryos were not thriving and were dying. As a result of this discovery, it was discovered that there was some problem, details are not yet known, with this solution, which was causing this terrible tragedy. This recall has happened, and now clinics around the country presumably are notifying patients of this problem. And for many women who were older, this was their only opportunity or their last opportunity. You can't just easily go back and, oh, let's do it again, because as women age, their eggs age and become less viable. So this is a very terrible situation. Lawsuits have been filed in several jurisdictions, and we're currently entertaining cases and reviewing them. And I can just say, given my experience working on women's health care issues for decades, starting with the very first case involved DES, which was a drug prescribed to pregnant women in the 60s, 50s, and 60s to prevent miscarriage. Well, it turned out that that terrible drug never was effective in preventing miscarriage and in fact caused terrible defects in female offspring of women who carried those babies. When these young girls became of teenage age, it was discovered that they had misshapen uterus called the T-shaped uterus. Some developed a very unique form of cancer called clear cell cancer, and that was a tragedy, and I recall sitting in the room with many clients dealing with that. So, fertility-related medical care is so important, and it's so important that it's done properly and with adequate testing. And here in the case of this IVF solution, whatever the reason for the defect, whether it was improper storage, improper processing, it's just tragic and terrible.